It's a good start for RNG here in the quarterfinals. 1-up over LNG. A good time for them to show their strength because let me tell you, that was a great game one, Raz.
Oh, it's fabulous.
It was absolutely magnificent. Of course, Uzi gets MVP after that game number one, but many more people at work. And yes, 46% damage is a lot. 100%
And 100% kill participation. He certainly earned it.
Yep.
I'm still an advocate for Ming. I would give it to Ming. You heard me already. But, you know, partners in crime. Uzi's MVPs are Ming's MVPs and vice versa.
True. Also, I'd add in the mix, you know, Xiahu had a big part to play. Langx with the last fight, so everyone kind of mixes in, but this was the start of the action at 7 minutes.
Yeah, I love the fact that we're going to be starting off with Uzi's death, but honestly, it was more of a storyline of LNG just having a great early game.
Yep.
They had some fantastic fights, a lot of them kind of revolving around early Scuttle Crab. RNG was more than willing in taking that fight, so this one kind of resolved in a stalemate. That was fun diving in his own demise. That'll happen a few more times as this game goes on.
Yes, it will.
But you take a look at this play, and this goes right back to the conversation. Scuttle Crab comes right back. Karsa is willing to pick up that fight immediately afterwards. And this is really that unpredictability that RNG isn't ready for. They're not ready for constant fights around a meaningless objective. Now, it's not completely meaningless, but it's something you wouldn't stake an entire game off of.
That's right.
But this is a great fight that Ming, of course, when Magic Shield made Duan completely useless in this fight. And then an immediate dive. This was, you know, 3 kills on Asura really early on. That gold being gifted to RNG right off the back of that.
That's right. I remember you and I having a conversation about that bottom lane one. We'll kind of continue on. LNG was still very proactive moving into this mid-game with picks like this onto Xiahu around the Infernal to eventually secure themselves that double.
Yeah. I just love how active they were.
Yeah.
This was just a great back and forth between both teams that you look at this fight and you can just see how strong Langx was at the very end of it. Of course, got the reset right off of Fen. Another jump to his own demise, to be fair. And Langx was just cleaning up. He made a long chase, so hopefully we cut it off so he doesn't run around the entire map trying to get the Gragas.
We're going to watch the thing out.
Yeah, let's go. The entire clip. The entire clip. I can't believe we're watching the entire clip, but I enjoy it. Yeah,
he got out.
He was fine.
Yeah.
He got out.
Okay.
He got out.
Well,
we're watching the entire clip. Let's get him.
Hey, there we go.
That's cool. That's cool. But this was a great play from SofM, and then going back to that conversation of the AD carries jumping in. I'm fine with Asura losing his life for that, but because you have another AD, multiple damage threats in the back, and then you know,
Fen
jumping in right as well. Not the good call. Especially since Uzi is so stacked at this stage that he can sustain up, blast you. His ricochets at that stage was actually probably doing like he was doing an insane amount of damage.
It was that's why he got the 47% damage credit. So game one, Uzi MVP moves in line with the style of RNG we talked about, with the style of RNG that you all know and love. Uzi's pushed front row and center. That's what he did in game one.
Look, and it feels like we were having an active conversation there with Coach Steak.
Oh, just you. Okay.
Calm down. Your real emotions are starting to show itself.
Yeah, that's what they did many times ago.
But only because we got to see that shielding coming through from the Karma pick. True. But also, it can attack. You know,
that was a Zhonya's Luden's Echo Karma. That was a full frontal.
Exactly. It was an ability. It was a champion that could not only provide quite a bit in the poke. Fen was getting a lot of damage being taken on him. And then on top of that, was able to provide a lot of protection there. There was already an Ardent Sensor built up by the Morgana, so he was completely fine.
Also, I want to talk about the top lane here quickly, because I know going into this game, we said it was a top lane outmatch in the team fights. Although Flande had some good engages, some good moments, I think Langx came out of the woodwork. Langx had a great game one, where those team fights actually about his namesake at one point.
He did 2 things that we all just wanted him to do, which is, if you're on weak side, get a lot of respect down on the members who are coming through. One thing that wasn't noticed because we were following the action, and a lot of the times wave control is a lot of inaction. He was controlling the wave quite easily. So Fen was rotating topside and got nothing for it. So that was a lot of great respect that he paid to that matchup. And then at the very tail end, you saw the team fights. He was doing a lot in those fights.
Yeah.
So great job to him being able to pick up a very successful win for his team. And it makes RNG a lot more scary of an opponent.
It's incredible when you go up against a Riven, and the Riven wasn't in our rear vision mirror, nor really our side mirrors in that game whatsoever. Flande had a decent time in lane, CS lead, but the Riven pick never led me to go, okay, this was worth it in the long run because it didn't lead me to believe anything.
Well, there were multiple team fights that I think Flande pick paid off. There was actually, for me, 3 team fights. The bot lane team fight, the first replay that we showed that he was able to get the kill on towards Uzi, so Uzi was never safe in that respect. There was also the team fight around mid lane where he was able to get a flash stun across that turned the tides of battle. So his Riven pick was very good. Okay. I think it just comes down to, I don't want the pick to be judged because the team's overall mistake.
Fair.
And I think that FunFen made so many consistent mistakes this game that those team fights were really decided by hair. Was kind of thrown away because of that. So I think it was more so he was being, thrown to the wayside because of that. I hope that the next game, pick a Yasuo. Pick something.
Yeah?
Something with that gusta. I want something that can look for fire. You play towards Flande. That's all we ever asked for. Like you're asking for RNG to play towards Xiahu. I've just been asking for LNG to play towards Flande. Give him the picks that he's known for.
Like the Akali that just...
Yes.
Actually, fun fact that Akali on Xiahu and Flande are 2 of the best KDAs in the league at the moment. So that's pretty exciting stuff that you have 2 great Akali players in 2 different lanes.
Yes. And I think he is the best AP assassin top laner. I know it's a very specific thing, but for this team, a lot of their team fights, they can be chaotic, but a lot of times because they don't run many tanks. As a team, if you're trying to create space for AD carry, and if you're running like Vladimir, a Ryze, an Akali to that point, a lot of it just kind of comes down to you playing on the line of death. You're on that tightrope, hoping that you don't get bursted down right from the team fight at the beginning. And I think he does that very well, being able to provide an insane amount of damage. That's why no one wants to see him touch the Vladimir if you're the enemy team. And so I think that Akali, hopefully, he gets the pick at this series.
I'm curious, do you still regard LNG as the mad scientists with their draft? Do we still talk about them as like the most creative and unique drafting team in a way?
Who would you think is, clashing against that?
I think Suning at one point, I'd say with their innovative, like their
Pike
Twisted
Yumi
Fate.
nonsense,
Yeah, the Pike Yumi. I think at one point they were experimental.
I think globally we're seeing a lot of crazy stuff happening. I'm not going to talk about the Sonatar because that's still happening from the side of Team Liquid, but certainly we're seeing a certain...
Garen Yumi bottom lane is what you're talking about.
A very buff man holding a cat.
Yeah. I'm going to point out that in this series, we are not going to see that whatsoever.
Are you sure about that?
100%. I will make another wig bet with you. Actually, something more important. What do you want?
What do I want?
Yeah.
I want more pizza.
I will buy you whatever pizza you desire.
Perfect.
If we see a Garen Yumi bottom lane in this series.
All right.
Out of Asura and Uzi? You're kidding.
All right. You know what? I will not take that bet.
Okay. Thank you so much. Because I was about to say, what are you going to offer me?
I ain't taking that
That's
bet.
right.
You can leave that in Europe.
That's right, because it's a series about the Kaisers, the carries. Asura got that matchup, Uzi back to his Sivir, and once again, like the CS was out of the ballpark for this man. He's just the best CSer in the league and probably in the world.
And I think that this game, I guess cross your fingers, that this game is going to be a lot more... I'll say LNG will have a better early game simply because I felt like that early game in most circumstances would be great for them if it wasn't for the dragons that they constantly had to contest. Ever since the first Infernal was picked up by RNG, suddenly you just have to be playing towards dragons even though you had a Rift Herald picked up and you had a Riven topside that you want to be consistently giving love to. But at the end of the day, what you saw was them saying, oh, the state of the game has changed because the Summoner's Rift Lord, whoever this person is,
the Lord
decided, the Lord of the Summoner's Rift.
The person who decides which
You know who that is, though?
Who is it? I don't know.
The CEO of Riot Games.
Oh,
anyway,
okay. Right. The Lord of Summoners. I don't know if there's like a different Lord.
But all I know is that they decided to have multiple Infernal Dragons on the field, and so suddenly you have to play to that. There, LNG had to go for it, and I think that a lot of I'll go back to the point that I made within the game. They could have completely segued and allowed Asura to thrive. You had 3 kills really early on. They could just get the Rift Herald and then go bot side. But, got complicated.
It's funny because I was going to bring that up. Since Asura was 3-1, it was a double pickaxe early. It was such a big elevation for this AD carry that I was expecting it to go further. And for Asura, he had to make his own way to the late game. And although he was big, it comes back to the 1v1 with Uzi versus Asura. And Uzi showed his experience on the stage once again.
I just want to see how much, because I know when we talk about experience, pool have that. Of course, you give it towards RNG, but the person you're looking on right now is, of course, Duan on the side of LNG. And LNG has a lot of experience within that roster. And so I give a lot of faith that, Flande, SofM, and Duan will be able to carry that. The only questions I've ever had when it came to experience and confidence was towards Asura. And Asura shut me up in about the first split.
That's true.
First split, he was consistent, even in the most, difficult times where everyone else was failing, and a lot of Snake's issues or LNG's issues were just more so about how they wanted to play the game in that meta. He performed well no matter what. So I definitely think that this is going to be a tough series for RNG, where you just can't, hashtag tilt them. It's not possible.
I love that you're bringing up experience. And when you look at someone like Flande, when you look at that man on your screen, remember, he has not missed a single game since the inception of Snake Esports in 2015. He has not dropped a single game. He's never been sick, as far as we know. That's insane.
I feel like that's the same case for SofM here, but SofM has a far shorter career on LNG because he was picked up a little later on, going way back into the days of Snake when they had Beast and Ella on that team.
It was a while ago.
Love that iteration. They were only one style, and I love the fact that they shed that skin and we're no longer a Juggernaut team and became, with the new additions, a team with many faces. Many styles,
the
ultimately...
The many-faced team.
Yes, the many-faced team.
Great.
Or the many-faced horse, I guess, because now that they have that, what is it, the horse dragon as their logo?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Clement had a name for this.
Well, it's literally called Langma, which is dragon horse.
I guess you have a name for it.
Literally, that's what it's a mythological creature.
Okay, so
what did he call it?
I don't know.
Why'd you bring it up then?
I don't know. I just thought you'd remember what he called it.
I would never remember that.
No, fair enough. Well, we go into game 2 after RNG and LNG both brought us this epic game 1. I'm excited. Let's move forward because we need to pick and ban again. We've got a couple of jungle bans. We've got the Yumi to pair with it. The Silas as well. Kiana's a must, but LNG just go back to what they know, and that's the Gragas.
Yeah, same stuff that we're seeing here. Makes a lot of sense that Gragas is going to be the go-to after the Olaf and J4 bans. Sejuani is still up and available, but RNG, I think they had it right on the nail with the Skarner pick. So I want to see if they can just go straight back to that.
Okay, simple. And you got the Aatrox paired up with it again. Aatrox that just feels so great.
I want to see what LNG end up doing on this side. I think they should still go back to the Karsa. There really shouldn't be much of a change on first phase. I think second phase, then you can start taking away from what RNG had, specifically talking towards the Karma. But I want to see... Oh, maybe they pick it up themselves. This composition actually would do okay with a Karma pick. But
remember last time that was the Tristana there, so good to see that Camille comes through nice and early.
Yeah, Fenfen did not have the Tristana game that he was looking for.
True.
But now that we have a Camille being thrown up into the top side of the map, technically they can still go towards double AD carry with the Tristana. It's just going to be up to RNG if they want to take that away.
10 seconds. And if we see it again, no big surprises, but the Uzi Zaya in the first... No.
Yep.
That was the quickest flick I've seen.
I mean, at the end of the day, RNG sees nothing wrong with their composition. This part of their comp is a staple. Nothing would change here. I think the only thing that would change would be the AD carry.
Okay.
So even if LNG, let's say, banned the Sivir away, we were already talking about how that comp would be fine with a Varus and Tom Kench.
As you mentioned in game 1, remember that LNG in that same game 1, in the second ban phase, they were both AD carry bans. It was the Ezreal, it was the Lucian.
You know what's a good pick into the Karsa, by the way?
What? The volley ban?
No, but I like that idea.
Okay.
Kog'Maw. So I'll just throw it out there. Just going to throw that in your minds. It was the, Uzi who brought that internationally in 2018, that counter pick. And this composition has enough safety mechanisms that where you can throw that in. But it's not a late game pick. It's just a great early game, mid game option that you can deal. You have that range advantage. I want to see what RNG is willing to pick here. It still depends on if LNG wants to give them. There we go. Ban away on the Sivir.
Yeah.
Now it's up to RNG here. They can go towards that or just go to a safe Ezreal pick that was banned in the first game. Most teams would go towards Ezreal, but if you have Karma Ezreal, you have a lot of poke.
Yep.
But then you just wouldn't be building in towards the Ardent Sensor.
Been very characteristic of Uzi. And there we go. Debonair Ezreal once again.
One day they'll give me the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, they will.
Oh, one day.
Hey, if we go to a game 4, game 5, maybe that's what finishes it off.
Maybe. But let's see what that support's going to be. The fact that we've gone to this part of the draft, one of the favorite lanes for Uzi and Ming is Karma Ezreal because of how much lane domination that it has, especially versus that mid-range AD of the Karsa.
Yeah.
So it can still easily be a Xiahu pick, but we're going into that phase where we now have full view of the LNG's composition. Let's see what it's going to be.
Gonna get one more solo lane because the Nautilus locked in and no one but Doombee's playing that in the mid lane anymore.
What's stopping RNG from just going straight back to the Morgana pick? Knowing that you have a lot of pick potential, poke on your comp, and then you see a Nautilus being thrown into the bot side of the map, you'd believe. And we still get that Triss. Lock it in.
We're going to do it again. Okay. Rinse and repeat. Redemption round for FenFen.
For me, just pick the Morgana.
Yeah.
I think Morgana Ezreal does very well bot lane. And Karma had a pretty decent laning phase versus the Tristana. So I want to see what that answer is going to be for Ming. They have about 13 seconds to talk about it. And I always love just extending the time just because you have longer point on, even if you know what the pick is going to be on stage, to just have a conversation with your team about what they should be doing for the first few levels. But there we go. Lock it in. Pretty easy. Going straight back to the same draft except with the change up in AD carry. And it's going to be on LNG that, you know, they have a lot more catch potential, I'm sure, with the Camille pick. So I'm a little bit more afraid for RNG having to deal with a flank now.
I like talking about the 1v1 matchup in the top lane, though, and just quickly remember that the Camille into the Aatrox we've seen many times around the world. People happy to pick the Camille into this dark and flying monster because the ability to outplay in the 1v1, and of course you're always going to have that scaling element.
Who's the dark and flying monster?
The Aatrox.
I guess so.
What do you mean you guess so? That's what he is.
He's a demon. There's a difference between a demon and a monster. We'll have that conversation soon, I'm sure.
Pretty similar, right?
Nah, you know, similar is not the same.
I mean,
and
demon and monsters, they both kill people.
You're sounding very, very, you know, judgmental here.
The demons and monsters rather than think, I don't care.
There's a difference here. This is 2019, goddammit.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize to everyone about my...
You can make that, you know, you can make that message on Twitter where you have about like 15 followers.
Wow.
All right.
Well, go on, Raz. It's your cast now.
All right. Well, just so you guys know, we have the full compositions for both LNG and RNG. Same as old from RNG. But for LNG, once again, it's all about Flande. Now take it away, senor.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm coming back in, apparently. A good way to lead us into game 2. LNG down a game in this series. See if they can fight back against RNG. Looking to make that run again to Worlds. I love that we finish on the 2 teams that are no longer in the playoffs.
Nice icon, IG.
Crowd, it's your time to shine. We ain't in Beijing. We get it all. RNG still have the passionate fans behind them after their 2018 run. Hasn't been the same this year, but returning to glory is what RNG are about here in the quarterfinals, and one step closer after getting game 1.
Yeah, and just as a reminder for anyone that missed the start of the show, for both of these organizations, if you lose here, you're just done. 2019 is over for you. You don't have enough points to make it into the Gauntlet tournament. For LNG, I mean, for them, they've had a very tough year to begin with. That's fair, and they've been a team that has never been able to really make it to that tournament for a few years now, actually. But for RNG, there is certain expectations that they're not reaching. So, you know, for them, everything is on the line.
Do you remember what I said? That for LNG, previously Snake, 4 out of 6 of their playoff runs have ended in the quarterfinals. Only once have they gone further. And then they lost to Invictus Gaming in 2015 spring.
Well, once upon a time, 2015, you know, things just began in the quarterfinals. So I can't even give them that. They have only won 3 playoff series, and that's including the last IG set that they had. So before even coming into the 2019 summer playoffs, they'd only won 2. they usually just get booted right on the first round. So it's great to be able to see that from them. And speaking of LNG, SofM has found his way here.
Big early game once again will be spotted out by a wall while LNG still make the engage, but RNG trade back handily as SofM wants to start off this vertical jungling track. And Karsa's coming towards the top lane. Now for Flande, he's got a full health bar, but Langx now goes into Conqueror. Karsa making his way up level 3. He's going to get the slow. We look in the bottom lane. Kazuzi has been caught out, but he walks away. Arcane Shift and Flash still there. We look at Flande once again. Langx walks on him, but Flande's out. He re-engages.
I love the confidence here from Flande. He knew he can stay in the lane, and that Skarner was just going to peace out. So unless if Skarner was willing to flash right back in without his E, then yeah, you're certainly winning out in that one. So Flande still is able to stick around in the lane, has a lot of potions for his name, because remember it's Klepto Camille. While SofM was able to get a lot of rewards. In fact, is going to be able to triple buff here. Skarner wasn't going to be able to do anything.
Is he still up here? He's still sticking around?
I mean, he couldn't get the blue buff on the enemy side. So SofM recognized that because of the early top lane gank and just immediately went up to the top side scuttle to cut him off. That's actually a really smart point from both Flande and SofM. That kind of point of communication is not necessarily talked about as much as it should be. And so the fact that LNG was able to now cut off Karsa completely and now know he's going to be going to his own red side, or blue side jungle, that is. SofM gets a lot of experience and gets a lot of information.
The strongest part of this map is the synergy that we talk about a little bit here, where SofM and Flande, how many years have been now, Raz? Three years together
with
Snake?
LNG and Snake, yes.
So these guys have been playing together for some of the longest period here with a jungle top duo. So an early start here as the wave gets shoved in, that 3 buff you're talking about SofM acquires, goes back to his Wolves, and there is a big discrepancy already built up.
Yeah, and remember what that career was like for SofM, because he's had a few people on that team. Really, the only partner in crime that he's had has been Flande, because throughout you've had, you know, Crystal on the bot side as AD carry, and there was a brief stint where he was a support, but it looks like SofM's caught out here.
This would be a good turnaround if Karsa can find it. Smite goes down onto the Raptors. Fen jumps in once again. SofM has body pop with the flash. Respected there. SofM takes the turret shot. He has the flash in response. Here comes Karsa, gets the lockdown. The barrel's there. The Karma autos, and Karsa slices for first blood.
They saw and smelled a little bit of creativity there. Wanted to find that pick on Xiahu. Xiahu recognized he can just flash away, and the Q from Karma and the turret shot would have certainly been the difference in SofM just dying there, unassisted by the Skarner entirely.
Huge turnaround from RNG. That is going to cut deep for LNG, who already had the jungle lead, topside pressure, and were cementing their early game.
That literally turns everything on a dime.
Yes.
Where, okay, well.
Oh, hang on. Let's go for the rocket jump onto Xiahu once again. Underneath the turret, Duan has taken 2 shots, but Fen gets the kill. Okay, the dime is turned again.
Who was the one that rocket shot over there? Was it Fen that got that rocket jump? Or was it Rocket Man Duan himself using the blast cone to get closer to the Karma? I love this game.
Yeah, great start. Duan turns it around, joins the mid lane now. Launching these trades aren't going to matter too much as Flande is going to be healing back up. Karsa here unspotted, but at what point can he get into this lane?
Should be able to. Just kind of covering just in case Flande either goes for a trade or if there's a gank in its mist. Ah, here's a trade.
Oh, he's going to be walking up level 6 here for Flande, but does he have enough matter? He's locked down by Karsa. Flande's getting low. He has no sustain, and Langx picks up his own kill.
That hurt because the wave was pushing in too. Flande would have been safe in this place, but he noticed that Langx was putting in considerable amount of damage. Speaking amount of damage, Xiahu.
Oh, we're fighting again. Great early games. Duan's here once again. Where is this guy coming from? Fen's just benefiting off this Nautilus support.
SofM and Duan, powers united. This is ridiculous. Xiahu, think about being able to sit on that seat in playoff time. You're told to play Karma 2 games in a row, and in the second game, you're camped by everybody.
Yeah.
This is not a good feeling.
Uzi and Ming are farming down the bottom side, and now Karsa responds. He's level 6 down here, and yeah, you might need to hover around Xiahu a little bit more, who now has no summoners and is falling very far behind.
This is very deep vision on the right side of the mid lane. And Xiahu really wants to clear that because that's an easy dive if he doesn't. If Karsa's not always looming over the lane, then just makes it easier for Duan to do the exact same thing he did last time and make it count. So they'll find that time, but that's a lot of damage now being put down towards Duan.
Returns to lane, he gets punished a little bit there, but might not matter too much in the long run for the Relic Shield on the Nautilus.
It's a lot of poke. And this is the range advantage we were talking about. With a lot of the lanes that we were hitting on, which is the Sivir that was able to poke down Karsa quite a bit in the last game with the help of Morgana. This time around, the Ezreal unbanned. And if we're just talking about the situation, I was hitting on the Tahm Kench and Varus. All of that has lane shove and just, trade advantage that Asura is going to have to be dealing with. So the window that Duan had earlier on of being able to rotate is not going to be there until Uzi and Ming end up basing.
Yep.
Thankfully, they're doing that now. So here comes the big knot.
Moby boots on the Nautilus as well. So
let's go.
Nice and early to make the roam. Now, he'll be heading towards the mid lane where LNG, up here at the red buff, have 4 people at the ready.
Where are we dropping, guys? That's the question Nautilus is currently asking. Yep. He's free from his obligations down bot lane. Let's go.
Who's going to get the red buff? It's going to be taken by Karsa. Now SofM, explosive Karsa, get on out. Karsa pulls him back. Fen over the wall, jumps into Xiahu, but the jungler's down here from LNG. Teleport's going to come through. Xiahu ignited for the death, but Fen, he rocket jumps again right into the middle of the team. It's Uzi who teleports just to get the kill.
It's a 2-for-1. You're much happier if you're RNG. You got the red buff, you got SofM and Fun. But yeah, you're right. Fun finds his own kill. He jumps over the wall in a solo mission to get down Xiahu. It took a lot of time. I think he had the ability to jump out. I want to see if he actually had the mana to be able to do so. But at the end of the day, you lost 2 picks now. So great defense coming in from RNG.
Kill went on to Uzi. He's going to miss a bit of CS down here, but it's a cannon wave. So it's only going to be a couple, and we'll take a look again.
So just checked up. This is a spoiler alert. He didn't have mana. So used about everything to get the kill to begin with. Used his ultimate too. By the time that happened, he had the opportunity to jump out, didn't have enough mana to be able to get the job done, and obviously the CC was starting to stack up.
That's true.
The moment he actually fully committed to it. So a lot happened there. A full committal, because at the end of the day, if Duan is rotating, he wants something to get done.
That's right.
You better get something done. I'm wasting time.
So 1 kill for Fen is still okay here. The trade-off this time around doesn't seem too bad. As bottom lane, Ming's going to ulti down onto Duan. Dredgeline's going to get him out of there, but Uzi and Ming, the lane pressure continues. They will be down in CS, but they will be able to push for the turret plating.
Yeah, this should be the first turret plate. Let's see if they end up getting a dive here. They're going to be able to see him pretty late, actually, off this control ward.
Like clockwork, Karsa's here again.
All right. At least the Karma's not here, but teleport's available by Langx.
How long can they survive? Well, it seems like it's going to be negated, the turret dive, while Rift Herald was started much earlier on by SofM.
It seems to be just the state. We expected this to be the case. RNG was always going to be focused towards the Dragon, 2nd place in the league when it comes to Dragon control rate. And then they always go towards the bot side to give Uzi those leads. It's up to just Asura and Duan to make the impossible happen. Survive at all means.
So difficult at this point. You have Manamune though, and with the helpfulness of the Nautilus, we'll see how we go. As Flande, that's too far forward. Langx now just goes into world, and the Hex Deck Ultimatum will be challenged, but is Flande going to die? The explosive cast sends him towards the top lane, and Langx gets the kill anyway. And SofM trying to help out the flash burn from Langx. Fen tries to secure the kill, and it looks like no. Caddy, Xiahu's here, the shield, he's out. Oh, that went horribly.
That went as bad as you could ever think it could. SofM, you killed me, dog.
That's as bad as getting ditched at your wedding.
No, I think that's a little worse.
No.
I think the ditch at your wedding is a little worse. I'm
Maybe.
sorry. There's a real life implication to that one.
It got real, but 2-0-1. Man, the Aatrox is in a very good place. And Flandre's earlier lead, even in CS, has been absolutely blown to pieces.
But then, you know what? If I'm SofM, I would also be mad. I got this Rift Herald. I was setting it up. And you misplay that trade, I'm going to get you killed. You're learning a lesson today. But good rotation from Fen up top side at the same time. Theoretically, this was a great strategy. Bot side was able to hold on as long as they could. You were going to be able to get that top lane outer turret, and likely a kill if it was set up properly. But at the end of the day, because of the execution, RNG got bot lane plates completely, were able to rotate down mid. The Rift Herald didn't do much damage up top side at all, so in terms of just the strategy, I loved it from LNG. In terms of execution, RNG gets a lot for it.
I like that we're looking at first turret win percentage down there. RNG 2nd in the league right now at 88%. So what that means, folks, is that when RNG get that first turret, they win the game 88% of the time. They've done it here again. They've got a 2k gold lead with a Mountain Dragon and a second coming up. They've got full bottom side control, and things are looking good in this early game after LNG tried to force the issue mid.
They have a good amount of control on the bot side of the map. It's going to be very difficult for whoever's holding that bottom lane wave the moment Xiahu ends up getting that shoved out to match that and then rotate up top. I think the person who's going to be trying to accomplish that is Asura, which is a good thing. He needs to be able to get his next item ready.
Yep.
But it's going to be difficult now to defend that mid lane turret. You're almost relying on that teleport to be able to get that job done if RNG looks for a dive.
RNG up towards his top side for the time being. Uzi just jumps on into Fen, and this Ezreal almost towards his Iceborne Gauntlet as well. Benefit of Ezreal is those two items come quick.
And that's the goal, honestly. The goal for RNG at this stage, as boring as it sounds, is just to be able to get to your item breakpoint. For Ezreal to get to his Muramana and Iceborne Gauntlet so you can actually start to contest for major objectives, try and make something happen. Let's say if you get a slow across with your Iceborne, get the Karma empowered Skarner ready to get a pick. That's ultimately the major goal, unless if Ming just starts to smurf out. That's what I'm always concerned about. You set up what RNG wants to accomplish, and then Ming just says, I'm actually just the best support, and I'm just going to start landing like every binding possible.
All the blind bindings that we saw in game one.
And then the conversation changes.
Yeah, by quite a lot. He's got a redemption here as his first item, and that's quicker than the mobility boots for the Morgana. So priority on keeping the 80 carry alive as usual. Just setting up for these early skirmishes as well. Zhonya's Hourglass rushed here by Xiahu Raz, so that's just the safety first from the mid laner of RNG.
Especially with how often Fen has dove into the back to get some kills. So at the end of the day, it stops Fen, makes him be a lot more respectful in skirmishes. And if he ends up going for those dives, you can buy a lot of time. I'm a big fan of it, especially since we already know what the build has been for him. This time, more than any, remember last game he didn't go towards the Ardent Sensor because he had the Morgana that can get the job done for the Sivir. This time around, you have an Ezreal, so it's not even necessary.
Yep.
So Xiahu should just be fine to build AP here.
But walking into this brush, it's going to haunt him again, right?
Oh,
Xiahu's
no!
over the wall. SofM finds him mid-air in the exact same place, but this time, not the same time with the mid laner available. Xiahu is now going to be walking away while Karsa picks up the fight onto SofM. Asura tries to get the mid laner. He has no choice. Can he ult? What will he do? He's got to find the kill, but he can't. RNG turn it on a dime again.
That's the big brain Zhonya's play. That's what it's all for. We were talking about the Fen, the Tristana. Out of nowhere, he's like, I know this Batman's going to look for me. I'm prepared. I'm ready.
RNG push even further ahead, almost 3,000 gold at 15 minutes. And getting a quick look at the turret plating, it was all towards the bottom side. That's 800 gold on the bot lane 2v2.
It's pretty incredible. Uzi's gotten to that stage alongside Ming. And so that advantage should start compiling in the mid lane. They're just going to be looking for the mid lane turret. RNG has been pretty damn good at being able to set up and take down mid lane turrets. Well, as you saw in the last game, LNG finds a lot of difficulty in being able to get the job done. So nice setup by SofM, but the reality is Xiahu can buy for a lot of time. And you're in no man's land. You can't go to the left because RNG's members are there. You can go to the right, but it's a long road ahead of you. So Asura tried to find that goal, and Xiahu definitely was able to nail him down.
At that point, you're just hoping for a small trade, whatever it may be.
Anything.
Asura not in the greatest position this game. It's taken a very long time for him to get the Gwinsus when in game one it was those two items pre-20 minutes.
It's going to definitely refocus LNG now that they know that going towards Xiahu is not all that viable. Just trying to think about your composition as a pretty strong front to back. Wave clear as much as possible, get as much resources on Fen and Asura, and then allow Flande to take side lanes. He's going to be fine going up against Langx as long as you set up the wards for him.
Yep.
That's why you can currently see SofM starting to set up the top side. Sure, that's going to be with Asura being there, but let's see if they can get a kill before we get to that point.
Oh, Asura's going to try and knock down the turret, so Langx has no legs to stand on. It's 2 versus 1 for now, but teleport's coming in. Langx buys time, flashes forward, SofM half health. Xiahu's in, Karsa's in as well. The Nautilus doesn't want to join the fight because Asura is already dead. He ults to get out of there, but RNG are chasing him up in the 80 carry. I talk about legs to stand on. Asura's been chopped off.
The wild adventures of Asura and SofM. And it's SofM setting Asura up to die. This has been a fun last 3 minutes of the game.
Not fun for LNG, I'd say.
Happens again.
This is LNG falling by the wayside. Further and further, RNG will be collecting the gold bounties. Now towards the mid lane. They're pushing LNG out. As, okay, Xiahu going to get pulled in, but Black Shield afterwards means no lockdown. But there's no minion wave here, so Uzi, it's time to leave.
Yeah, the next wave is going to take some time to come over. So really at this stage, they need to find full base. Okay. Look to pick up that bottom lane wave. That's really the goal here with Flande being able to pick that bottom lane turret up.
The Camille is pretty meaty at this point. There's a Trinity Force, double longsword there, so Flandre's had his time in the side wave. He's starting to build up an advantage in CS over Langx. There is potential.
There's been a change up in the builds. So you have the Ardent Sensor being picked up by Xiahu, mostly because the Redemption is being picked up by Ming here.
Sure.
It's the discussion that they have, which means a lot of HP going to be, given back towards RNG in these larger team fights. I like the fact that RNG has set themselves up to succeed in these larger fights. Now, great thing about Ezreal, when you're looking at how much poke and pick is available, is that he can always be drifting around the outskirts of a team fight. Let's see if FunFun should be able to dodge out of this. And it makes it harder for FunFun and Asura to be able to, dive straight into the back line of that because of the mobility that he has. So for them, they have to be focused on Karsa and Langx. And with the amount of sustain that Langx has and how beefy Skarner is, it's going to buy them a lot of time in team fights. Let's see. It feels like in 2 minutes' time, we're going to be getting something from LNG. They don't want to have RNG stacking up dragons like they did last game.
Yeah, Infernal next. Double Mountain already there. I want to come quickly back to the Karma build because I'm curious, Raz, what comes third and fourth here when we've already seen Luden's Echo. Is it more like Athene's the natural progression for Xiahu next?
Makes a lot of sense if that was the case. I think Athene's would make sense. Final item be Rabadon's.
Okay.
That's completely fine. So you can have the empowered shield there.
Still a bit of damage on Xiahu at this point, especially with the early zoners we saw first, but he's behind a bit of CS who's solo defending this turret. LNG want no business being here, and RNG will finally break this one down.
Asura does need to find time of base. He doesn't have teleport either, so he's gone and not able to defend from was a 2-turret pickup here for RNG. They don't have a wave here for the second one.
It was the explosive cast that sent it outward. Ming takes a bit of damage on the return, but Flande, this ping's going down because he is looking.
Now, the fact that RNG has such a large focus towards this mid lane turret means they have a lot more time to set up around Baron. If you take that mid lane outer turret up, suddenly you can set deeper vision on the blue side jungle from the enemy team. You can buy a lot of time. You saw what happened last game, how RNG had so much pressure there because they can constantly set Skarner off for picks. And you have a double Mountain Dragon. RNG is set up to succeed 20 minutes into the game.
That single ward up towards the top side here for LNG. You can see it in the top side brush that is set up towards Baron. Keep note of that ward because Flande has teleport available. Asura, half the cooldown to go.
You always got to look at your watch, right? Look at your clock.
What time is it, Raz?
It's split pushing time. Okay. And it's certainly not splice time. What time is splice time? Anyways, I don't think it. Yeah, I know that joke is fun. Okay. Most because whenever RNG is setting up for the objective, they always are stressed because of the fact that Camille's split pushing bot side. Now, thankfully, she has 2 more waves before she gets on towards the inner turret. But that's the game that you're starting to play now.
Oh, FunFun has to flash. Now, that's going to be a big pickup as Karsa flashes in himself. The Impale's there. Mid lane are going to go down. Uzi slices through with the ultimate, and now that's mid lane turret. Well, look where LNG are. They were waiting for the bait around Baron. RNG had to push into the mid lane.
Yeah, they just didn't go for it easily. So much damage now. They should be able to take the inhibitor. It looks like Flandre's trying to set up for a fight when his members actually get here.
I mean, this is an outclass as Duan goes in first. Flandre comes into the backside. Maybe not. Uzi going to get jumped up with the Hextech ultimatum. He's killed with the explosive casters. RNG are trying to get an escape route. Xiahu baits away half the members. LNG get 2 kills. Flandre flashes into Ming. That's going to be a spectator bug once again. Ming's on the outward path. RNG lose 2, but they break open the mid lane in a turret.
Yeah, you're right on the spectator bug, and this means that LNG is going to be able to look for the Baron bug.
Okay.
Now. Off that one pick alone,
that'll be worth
Uzi,
it.
Xiahu being down as well. Looks like RNG is going to look for a trade. They'll have 3 valuable dragons, but a lot of time to buy now with LNG being able to pick up Baron.
Okay, well, for LNG, I'd take that. You lose your inhibitor turret. Base may be exposed, but you get an edge in this game. You get a bit of gold. and you get the ability to push those side lanes with the Baron you've just taken.
So take a look at who was first in the line of fire. Flande with a great pick onto Uzi. He didn't have much of a time to respond to it. And with how low he was at this state, easily send the Gragas cast to get the kill. And Xiahu had to be sent packing. He was trying to buy for a lot of time too. Yep. He knew he was already dead. Tried to just let RNG, the rest of the team, to back away there. So that was successful. Main call here, sure, they got the inhibitor turret. They weren't able to get the inhibitor though. So RNG now, if they're thinking about the long game, if they get a good team fight, they can ride a wave and just end the game at this state.
Yep.
But LNG has the meaningful objective to be able to clear out these side waves now.
I'm mentioning that Flande now has the Ravenous Hydra, so 2-item Camille with the Baron buff. And that's a side lane that's going to be very difficult to match here for RNG. They're trying to attack it as a unit, but Flande has so much escape.
Yeah, they sent too many members up top side. That was 3 people, including the Skarner. So suddenly the bottom lane outer turret, or at least the inner turret that is easily up and available. If you start grouping for it, not a lot of people here to get it. Actually, it's only Fen.
Needs to be careful, because if he gets caught mid-animation here with the Infernal Chains, he will get pulled back.
Yeah, they just needed a little bit more from LNG. Knowing that they had at least had vision that 2 people were topside, they could have very easily, heavily committed towards a bot lane dive, especially with Flande with teleport ready. So let's see what they end up doing. No one here to contest for Fen.
Pushes this so fast with the Infinity Edge now picked up, and LNG positioning around the sideways with Duan, SofM. This is going to be the entire bottom lane. Gold now neck and neck.
Control wards here, beautiful for Uzi and the rest of RNG. They'll catch LNG rotating all the way to the mid side here. It has to be LNG cleaning this all up. There we go.
Okay, again, rinse and repeat. Asura sits in the mid lane, waits for the wave, lets it push. RNG moving back towards the red buff in the top side, and Flande still can't be caught.
Yeah, they defend this well. You now have a minute left where LNG are likely just going to try and push out waves and set up for the next objective. But for the most point, being able to just lose that one turret bot side, I think, is completely fine. Just depends. LNG could try and make it for another turret in mid lane, but I think the waves are being pushed both mid and top side very easily by RNG.
At least put some gold back in the pockets here for LNG, and towards that next objective in that Baron, the Ocean Dragon, you'll have 3-item Tristana. You'll have almost 3-item Asura. Curious about what the Camille's gold's at. By the way, Raz, we do have an Ionian Boots of Lucidity on the Camille top. Something you don't see every day, but a bit of cooldown reduction.
Yeah, CDR, and you also have lower CD on your summoner spells, which is a positive. Just love seeing it from him, especially if he's just so focused on being on side lanes. If you're just thinking about PvE and you're not even thinking about team fights, it's a big pickup.
Oh my god! Wow, that narrowly misses. SofM was dead.
Wow.
A lot of questions about the angle of the 2-shot barrage, sure, but Uzi's ready to fire. He's got Blade of the Room King, and that was the extra damage we saw.
You probably thought that he had tenacity and he would be able to just dash away, body slam away. That wasn't the case whatsoever. And so, regardless of that, I mean, he still blasted him. Yeah, still sent him packing back to base.
Very true.
So, trying to get the hard read certainly wasn't it.
I'm not sure if Ming did that blind again. I think there was Ward in the brush here from RNG, but Ming doesn't miss too much, as we've already seen in this series. But we're back to square one here with objectives coming up left, right, and center. Ocean in a minute, 2 minutes till the Baron. So we'll see how desperately RNG want to challenge the river for this Ocean Dragon.
Well, with how much control LNG have, they should be able to pick it up. The only question is, back to your point, RNG don't need it. That's just, you know, they can consistently focus on the waves and allow LNG to pick up the major objective because they're completely fine with the double Mountain Dragon and Infernal. But with their composition, they want that fight.
Yeah.
So they're the ones hunting for a pick right now. They already have the control, and in typical RNG fashion, they want to force this.
I like that LNG are going up before the Ocean Dragon, re-securing ward coverage around the Baron pit, meaning that transition from Dragon towards Baron is harder.
This is an even smarter point from LNG. The fact that they're saying, okay, we'll give away Ocean Dragon, we'll still have full control around Baron with a minute to spare. It's going to be on RNG that's going to be pushing through mid. Oh, no,
Not unless this happens. Asura's going to need to ult here, Raz, because Uzi's going in for the kill. He dodges out for now. Ult's at the ready, but Uzi takes down with the help of Ming. They push up the mid lane. Now the tide has turned. Who's going to get ulted here by Flande? Uppercuts him. Who's he trying to get away? But the binding. Ming, you are a hero.
Just like that, 2 people are dead. Long death timers too with 30 seconds on Asura.
Not again.
Flande's down too, 2 games in a row. Major death timers going to allow RNG to just pick up this one.
And this time around, it was just the Uzi Ming show through the mid lane. I can't believe it's come to this. SofM going to get channeled. Impale's there. They dunk on him. That's 3 now. Duan trying to re-engage, trying to save the game. Langx gets sent backwards as Karsa. That binding connects again on Fen. Ming gets MVP. I don't care if Uzi gets it because it's wrong. Ming gets MVP because the game is now over. And RNG take us to match point.
2 games in a row where you just don't see it coming. You're out there, you probably want to get like a can of Coke or something, or you just want to be healthy, bottle of water. And then the game ends because of just that one pick that Uzi was able to find on towards Asura. And then, of course, Camille easily sees that, thinks he can turn it on the AD. Ming goes hot with that binding. What a beautiful ending here from the dual lane of RNG.
When Uzi should have been dead, when the defense should have come through. Turn the light of RNG back on. Is they're on match point after what was another, as you mentioned, surprise ending.
How many more of these are we going to get? Well, RNG just wants 1 more. That's all they need. A series that so many people were starting to be, fans of LNG, get behind them with how clean of a series they had versus IG. RNG just shutting them up.
Competitive game 1, competitive game 2. And that's the thing, game 2, the Baron take earlier on. LNG put themselves right back into the game. You can see how small the gold lead became. And then we get to that second Baron. We get to the setup again. RNG don't need to set up if they just walk it down mid.
Whenever you get to high competitive games like these and it feels like, you're going back into what is a chess match, then you realize how crazy of a game League of Legends is if it was on a chess mode. Like, for instance, everything's going according to plan, and then the bishop just makes a run for your king. You're like, what the hell happened here? What happened to the rules of the game? When Uzi can just say, okay, I know you're getting, you're setting up for Baron buff objective and everything, and Camille is completely fine on the side. Theoretically, in most regions, they'll let that happen.
Yep.
They'll try and push through mid and try and defend from LNG taking Baron buff. Uzi just makes it just a jump for Asura. Ming comes, helps him out with the Camille pick, and then suddenly the game is over. Sometimes the bishop can just go.
Great analogy.
He can just run.
It's a surprise, but I mean, true. Ming again. Ming had a great game 1. Second game, I'm starting to think Morgana's a great pick for him.
Yep.
And this is ban-worthy, or just throw more respect at it.
I mean, at the end of the day, you start to realize why Enchanter supports are just banned so consistently. They're annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
In lane has so much confidence, always being able to just chip at you. That's why they had the early turret to their name. And then later on in the game, a lot of the times, especially the Morgana, if you want to find an engage, blocks you. Yep. Camille would have been able to save that entirely. If you had the Camille being able to assassinate the Ezreal, in fact, that's better for LNG. Uzi's right off the map. You have Baron buff in mind. You have multiple carries. You got that objective, but then not happening.
I mean, almost one-shot potential. Then Ming comes into the picture. So a great series from RNG so far. A 2-0 start. I didn't think RNG were coming in this red hot, and after seeing LNG versus IG, you're right. People started backing LNG.
Yes.
And even after game 1, I'd say you can still back LNG. This could go the distance.
It's funny because whenever you see veteran-like teams like these, who are kind of shaky during the regular season, you expect them to come back into form during playoffs. IG wasn't that team.
They're the exception. Apparently.
IG proved to us that they were a team that those chips that we saw in the armor were certainly larger.
Yes, yeah, I'm broke.
RNG just said, oh, top lane, guess what? We got Langx for a reason. He's back in action, and it feels like the team's a real team.
RNG 1 step away from knocking out LNG. From LNG dropping in another quarterfinals here in the LPL. I'm going to go to a quick break to see what the verdict is.